Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. Newcastle United 4, Manchester United 1. Disgusting performance by Manchester United today. No excuses today. Absolutely just disgraceful performance. It couldn't have gone probably any worse. Multiple things. We'll lose Xerxes for probably the rest of the season. We probably have to go and try Tom Heaton in goal because apparently we don't have a goalkeeper that can play goalkeeper in the net. And we were absolutely just terrible today. We were completely played off the park. We were awful. We were outclassed. We were outmuscled. We looked absolutely terrible. We looked absolutely lost. So there's a lot of stuff we're going to get into. Live player ratings. We're going to do live player ratings. Please smash that like button for us. Help us out. Grow the channel. Push the channel. Please and thank you. We greatly appreciate it if you're new and you enjoy the content. Subscribe. But when you subscribe, make sure you hit that notification bell icon so you get the live noties when we go live so you don't miss a show and you stay up to date. But yeah, pretty much, I mean, this probably was one of our worst performances. I mean, we've had some bad performances, but I think this was one of our worst performances so far because there was just almost basically absolutely nothing. I mean, 12 minutes in, we had a good opportunity from Joshua Xerxes, who had a decent shot on goal, but probably should have done better with it. And then after that, we basically did nothing. We struggled to be in the game. Newcastle took the lead. And we still had sort of nothing up until we scored a good goal by Alejandro Garnacho and Diego Dalot making the run and making the play. And then you do 1-1. You go into halftime. You think, all right, we haven't been good. Sort it out. Going to the second half. Turn it up a little bit. Maybe we could be a second half team today. And the second half went absolutely 3 times more worse than the first half did, and we lose the match 4-1 in probably the worst possible style you could do. I mean, goalkeeping error once again gonna take some of the headlines. I mean, we all knew Binder couldn't kick a ball. I think he did actually fairly well with the kicking up until that point. And that was the thing that I always said that I was scared of, is that he's done that multiple times. Somehow he was lucky enough to never really concede a goal from it. But today, when things go bad, everything goes bad. And it happened. It finally happened. It happened today. Kicked the ball right to Newcastle, right onto the edge of our box. And they score a goal. I mean, I'm laughing because if you don't laugh, you cry. And I mean, there's just nothing. There's just nothing to say. But here's the thing. I mean, listen, even in that match that was just as bad as it was what we watched, and it was complete waste of our time, to be quite honest. I will say we still had a couple patterns of play that are decent, good, but in total of the match we just wasn't good enough. And against these other teams, even Forest, who are third, who did well, but they've been struggling a little bit recently. Against these other teams, we looked all right, but obviously now we played against a team that's fighting for Champions League spot, that has done well for a course of a season, and they're much better than us in terms of physicality. They completely outmatched us. I mean, we couldn't deal with them on the physical side. It was completely impossible to deal with them on the physical side. We got completely outmuscled and outclassed in that aspect. So I mean, when you test us up against that, it just shows we really are still quite far away, even though there are improvements that are being made in the team. I mean, the team just overall, regardless, we know isn't good enough. I mean, just the group of players that we have isn't good enough, which is why we need the changes and we need the transfers in the summer, and Ruben needs help because it's just not, we're just not there. We're not on that level. We're clearly below a top 6 a team with this group of players, one way or another. So things need to change. Things still need to be improved. And we always said anyway, the past 2 matches, or 3 matches, even though they weren't wins, they were still decent performances from the team. I think in those matches like Forest and even Lyon, we didn't get outplayed. We didn't get beat. We didn't win the match because we struggle in other areas, but we didn't get outbeat. But today we got absolutely just battered. We were destroyed, and we were embarrassed. The levels and the difference between the two teams was, a blind person can see them today. So there's no excuses for that. It's just, it just shows you the golfing class of where we are, and we have a lot of work to do. And this is what I'm trying to say. Like, we're still early into this process. We still have to build. We still have a lot of room for growth. We need to, it's going to take some time. We're obviously still a mess. I mean, some of the goals, even if we were outclassed today, some of the goals that were conceded, I don't know what you, as a manager, you can personally do when the players are out there making these sort of mistakes like that. I mean, the individual errors that should not be happening. The first goal that Newcastle scored was a brilliant goal. That goal is the only goal that I really accept because it was brilliant. There's nothing you could really do about it. I mean, obviously, from a United standpoint, you're going to try and point out and say, you got to do this better and you got to do that better. But it was a brilliant piece of football. It's a goal that when it happens, you can't say or do really anything besides just accept it and say they scored a good goal. But all the other goals were completely 110% our fault. And we had everything to do with that, and we keep doing these sort of things. Now today it happened in more numbers, but I mean, this has been a consistent theme. We somehow manage, number one, we always concede first. That needs to stop happening. We cannot continue to do that. That needs to be sorted out. And number two, these horrible individual mistakes that you expect from an under 12 Sunday League team to happen. Our players cannot be doing these sorts of things, and it always seems to be, it switches from game to game, from match to match, which is a concern because there's something wrong there. Obviously, that's not a normal thing to be occurring during the match. Whether it goes from Onana, whether it's the goalkeeper, Mazawari, Delo making, one of the mistakes, Amos. I mean, the whole team was culpable for at least one or two of the goals. I mean, it started with one player, went to the next player, went to the next player, and it went to the next player. And there was like 4 or 5 players at least involved in one of those goals. So I'm not singling out anybody. I'm just saying that it just, there's too many individual mistakes that you just cannot make as a professional player, especially at the highest level. So, I mean, it just, and I would like to point out, I mean, I don't know, people are going to be upset because Xerxes, obviously, he suffered a hamstring injury. He's probably not going to play for the rest of the season. So that's our better striker gone. And people are going to be upset. I've seen a couple people already saying, what was the point in playing Xerxes in a match that doesn't matter? And I hope the sentiment doesn't go that way, because before we played this match, everybody was saying Xerxes should probably play. So now that he got injured, everybody's going to probably do some sort of revisionism. Listen, it's unlucky. We're in a shit season. These things have been happening. Nothing really good has gone our way. Every time something bad happens, it keeps getting worse. This is just the season that we're in. This is just United in a nutshell this season. I mean, it's just this thing that it's like a rain cloud that just follows us around. There's nothing like, it's been happening all season, whether it's one thing or another. So, I mean, you can make that argument after the fact, but I don't think anybody really made the argument for Rasmus Højlund to start today's match. I think everybody probably, if they were going to pick a team before the game, they were going to pick Xerxes, and he ended up getting injured. So, I mean, it's just bad luck. What can you do with that sort of stuff? But let me get to the chat a little bit, and we'll do a little bit of a circle back. Ray is in here, Lyons is in here, Grace is in here. Ray and Lions. Ray says we are shit and getting worse by minutes. I mean, we are shit. I don't know if we're necessarily getting worse by minutes. I mean, today was a disaster, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there has been some slight improvements, but today was just, it was just a disaster. And Newcastle has that type of team that I feel like it's one where we definitely struggle with. I mean, they are a very physical side. They're very strong. They clearly showed that, and we clearly showed that, we can't keep up with that. And when you play a very good, because it's not that just like they're just physical. They're good as well. They're good. They're a good team. They're a solid team. They play some good football. They're structured. They have a good understanding between them. When you couple that with the strength that they have, we didn't stand a chance. I mean, that midfield, I said you can't play the two defensive mids, but maybe today Ruben Amorim would have been a good choice to maybe play the two defensive mids, because Ericsson being there with Ugarte, that just didn't work at all. And we didn't have any control of the midfield at all. And the midfield couldn't keep up at all. So, the fact that we lack some physicality, I mean, I think Xerxes has some of that, and he did well in moments, up until he got injured, holding up the ball and doing his thing and dribbling with the ball. But, I mean, we were outmuscled, outclassed. But we were really outmuscled. We just couldn't keep up with them. And I mean, it just wasn't. It wasn't. It wasn't good. I think I seen what you're saying, Grace. But I'll check a little bit later in the show to make sure. But Ray says, "Where are we going? Nowhere. Stop making excuses." I'm not making excuses. This is the team that we have, but the team needs changing. So, there's not much. Again, I will keep saying the same thing. When Klopp came in, when Guardiola came in, when Arteta came in, they had a team that they had to work with, and all their seasons didn't go well either. And their projects don't start off. You don't start off a project with flying colors. So, again, this is the manager that we have. He plays a system. We have a certain team. And it's time we're getting to that point. The season ends, and we better make the changes, and we better make the right sales and the right buys to change this team, because that's what needs to happen. It's clear and obvious that this team is not good enough, regardless of whatever you think of the manager. The players aren't good enough. This group of players together aren't good enough. So that needs to be changed. Because we've been saying that for seasons and they never change it anyway. So that needs to be changed for sure. And we got to go from there. And we got to see what happens. You got to give the manager a fair shake with a better group of players, and players that fit his system better. Other than that, it's going to be a struggle, because he clearly doesn't like the group of players he has. He doesn't like the team. He's made multiple statements. I think he indicates that fairly heavily while trying to be, even-handed in the media. But it's quite clear, you see Ruben Amorim on the sideline. You see him on the pitch, match to match. I mean, his reactions are almost the same as us. Like, he can't believe what he sees that happens on the pitch. And especially because he's there training them every week. So I assume it's more of a shock to him than maybe us, because he's probably seeing night and day, which has been reported multiple times. Even under Eric Ten Hag, Benny McCarthy said the same thing. They would train wonderfully. They go to the match and they couldn't believe what they were watching. So again, we're here again. But listen, I'm not under any illusions or anything. I know we're not good. We haven't been good. We're 13th in the Premier League. We've been 13th in the Premier League for forever. And it's not going to magically get better. I don't know. I'm not necessarily surprised. I mean, I'm disappointed because of how bad it was, but I'm not necessarily surprised. This isn't a shocker. We know what this team is. We know where this team stands. We know the problems and the issues in this team. And we know what we know that changes need to be made, but there's nothing you can do about it. We're just trying to, finish out our worst season ever. So, all focus is obviously going to go on to next season. Obviously, we still have the Europa League, and we have Thursday coming back, and next week, and hopefully we could get a result there and bring back some positivity and actually go forward in the competition. But We make changes and it gets worse. Well, yeah, okay. So fair point, right? We make changes and it gets worse. So, you know what that tells me? That the team is just clearly obviously not good enough. We don't have the depth, we don't have the quality. I mean, if the manager makes changes and we get worse, the only thing that tells me is that we just don't have quality and we don't have depth. And therefore we don't have a team. So you can say whatever you want about the manager. You can say Ruben Amorim out. You can hate him. You can curse him. You can do whatever you want. I personally don't care because in terms for me, it's just an impossible task when you have a group of players like this that do things like this that obviously aren't up to a certain standard. My opinion, no manager will be successful with this group of players. So you need to make the changes. Again, I do think that he started Amos. I think it was good. We've been asking for youth. He gave a youth player a chance. He started him. I thought Amos did okay. I think he did all right for his Premier League debut. He looks like a kid that has, something to offer. Obviously, he's going to need more time and he's got to grow a little bit more and progress. There was mistakes in his game, but that's, obviously going to happen. But that's an encouraging sign. But I think he got it wrong with the midfield today. I don't think he needed to do that. And I think it was the wrong choice. And I think that probably led to us, being just completely destroyed in the match. Lion says in defense to United, this season is done, and I can see why it could be difficult for them to go full on. I'm not saying it's correct. The UEL, I know we're going to be there fighting till the end. Well, I mean, maybe you're a little bit right. It's not something I'm willing to accept because again, you're out there on the pitch wearing the United shirt. You don't go out there and represent us to get embarrassed like that. So I don't care if we're 15th and it's the last match of the season. You go out there and you try and perform and beat the other team and make sure you represent that kid with the utmost dignity. But I mean, I just think one, it just looked like we just couldn't keep up with their pace. So I don't know if they're just fitter, faster, and better than us in that aspect. Maybe we're a little bit tired. Maybe we're also lacking a little bit of motivation for the league, as Lion's saying, because it's over, But yeah, I mean, we looked real off it. I mean, we couldn't keep up with them in any aspect. We couldn't get the ball back. They were passing it around us like prime Barcelona. They outmuscled us on every play. They forced us and pinned us back pretty much the whole match into areas you don't want to be forced and pinned back into. And we looked, just like a nervous wreck. We our players didn't look composed in any sort of way. They looked terrified. They looked scared. They were making just horrible mistakes on the pitch. And I know, and this is what I'm trying to say. I know this season hasn't gone good in any sort of way, but there's matches we play where we actually play decently good and we deserve to win those matches, and we don't because we have other issues besides the ones that went on today. But then you play a match like today, and it's the total opposite. Today is a match where I don't think it's happened since Amorim has come in. I don't think it's happened a lot. It's happened here or there, but I don't think it's a reoccurring theme where we get completely just obliterated on the pitch. There's matches where we play where we're actually decently good, but we can't get over the line. We can't score. We can't do this. Even in the last match, I felt like we were the better team. We deserved to win that match. Our goalkeeper makes 2 errors. So it's always, it seems to be always something with us this season. I don't know how you necessarily pinpoint that because it just seems to be, it's not, if it was something consistent, like for example, like the corners that we were suffering at one point, and that was a consistent theme, but we sorted that out. But it just seems to always jump from one thing to the other, whether we can't score a goal, whether this guy makes a mistake, that guy makes a mistake, the team doesn't play like they did today. I mean, it just doesn't, just doesn't go the way you wanted to for one reason or another. So we play more backwards than forwards. Well, today, I mean, we did because we just couldn't. We just couldn't keep up. We couldn't keep up. We were being pressed back, into our own box. We couldn't figure it out. We couldn't keep up with the speed. They were pressing and pushing us back, and we weren't playing with confidence. We weren't playing with confidence in any sort of way. We were absolutely terrified on the pitch. You could see it in the players. I mean, they get the ball. There were so many times where you get the ball and they're getting pressed immediately, and they don't know what to do with it. And there was no options to get rid of the ball. Nobody was open, and you can't be pressed in those situations and lose the ball in that situation. We're losing the ball on the edge of our box. Or the side of our box. That can't happen. You can't do that. So, yeah, I mean, it was just a really disgusting performance. I'm sure Ruben Amorim is really disgusted, and the players should be absolutely disappointed in themselves, and they should be disgusted with themselves today as well, because there's nothing that you can say for that today. So Box is in here as well. Ray says, where was the captain today? Open his arms for little things all game long. I mean, but where was the rest of the team? I mean, fair point. Where was the captain? I mean, he didn't do nothing today either. He wasn't good. Nobody was good, obviously. But I could ask the same question. Where was the entire team? Because I don't think really anybody did anything. I will say that I think Garnacho actually had a decent game, and he played better today, and he scored a goal. But, why it happens when he has a good performance and the rest of the team has a horrible performance. So it kind of like just negates itself. We needed those performances from Garnacho in the past couple matches when we were playing actually decent in the games, and we actually had a better chance. But yeah, I mean, this is what I keep saying. It's always something, so I just don't get it. Box is very disappointing how meek we were today. I mean, yeah, I mean, listen, I knew it was going to be a difficult, hard game because Newcastle are a good team. They've had a good season, and they're a tough team to play. So I didn't think, it wasn't going to be an easy game, regardless. But we just weren't. We were nowhere near them today. And listen, if you try to find a little bit of light in the darkness, I mean, this match at least just shows you, that we are far. We are far, and I like these matches for the fact of these teams when you play these teams, because it shows, the level. And clearly we need to significantly improve. And I think there's things that obviously have to improve from the coaching side and within the team aspect. I think those things come with due time, but there's things in that team that I don't care what anybody says. No amount of coaching, and I don't give a crap what coach you are. You can combine Guardiola, Klopp, Ancelotti, and Ferguson together. You're not going to improve certain things in that team with those groups of players. So that is a thing that, again, there's nothing we can really do about it till we get to the summer, and that's when those things have to improve, and then the coaching has to come back in and has to continue to improve into next season. But Amorim has been dealt a shit hand. I mean, yeah, I think any manager that I think, listen, even if we sack Ruben Amorim today, the next manager that comes in, he's going to be dealt a shit hand because the situation at the club is shit. And it takes time to fix it, and it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to be struggles. It's going to be ups and downs. You might feel like maybe we're turning a corner, and then boom, you get smacked 4-1 or 4-0. I mean, before the international break, we were performing decently well. We were scoring a couple goals. We were winning matches. We were getting over the line. We've reverted back to type. After coming back, which is a fear that I had because we've lost all momentum. We had 2 weeks off. and it killed our momentum that we had. So it's unfortunate. Sometimes you want those to help you take you out of the firing line. But at that time, I really didn't want the international break because I felt like we were hitting a decently good form. We were finding our feet a little bit. We were finding a little bit more confidence. And then we go in there and we come back and, it's like we completely lost all of that. So, Fox says, I feel like most of the players are bench or squad players. We have very few real starting material players. It might be so, but I think, part of the issue is that we just don't have the squad. We just don't have the team to compete. For one reason or another, whether they don't fit the system or they don't have the ability. I think there's a mixture of a little bit of both in a bunch of areas that you can see. Obviously, Xerxes got injured and he came off and, United didn't do anything, but it certainly changed. We could see the difference between him and Rasmus. And it's quite surprising because in the beginning of the season, Rasmus was the guy that I thought, I said he was better than Xerxes, and Xerxes was the one that wasn't doing enough on the pitch. And now it's the opposite. And now it's, Rasmus is the one that can't do enough on the pitch, and Xerxes is the one that has a bigger impact, and he seems like the stronger and better player. So, why take Amos off? I don't know. I don't know. He put in Dorgu. I think maybe he made 3 changes. He put in what I would say is the stronger players. And I think because he wanted to try and win it, and so he took off Amos. But he gave him minutes, he gave him some time. So, it is what it is. And why take Garnacho off? I don't know. Maybe to rest him. I have no clue. That's up to him. I think he made the changes to make the changes to try. The first 3 changes he made. The first 3 changes he made they were strong changes. So he was obviously he wanted to try and go and win the match, but it just didn't do anything. It actually, it probably made it worse. So because he put on Dorgu Mount, and he was forced into Rasmus. So and he put them on. Mount needed some minutes though. And then fair play. I probably would have put on Kobe a little bit earlier, and for Bruno, because he wasn't having a good game, and we should have probably rested him too. And Kobe probably should have got more minutes because Kobe needs some minutes as well. Luke Shaw got out there though for a good 15 or so minutes, which was good for him to get back out on the pitch as well. So, but yeah, we were just woeful, weren't we? So. Lion says we were woeful today, no doubt. But Thursday will be a complete different performance. Well, I hope so. Ray says we changed the manager and we getting worse. We are the only team we don't have a bounce. Yeah, but again, we talked about this numerous amounts of times. You can't have a bounce. And this is what we were saying the other day. I think many people expected a bounce. I expected a bounce, but you can't have a bounce when you change the entire football philosophy. We did something that's not normal, which is why it makes sense when you say that, we're the only team that don't have a bounce. We don't have a bounce because we changed too much at one time in the middle of a season. If we got, I would say if we got a manager that had a similar philosophy and formation and playing style as Erik ten Hag, maybe we would have we probably more than likely would have gotten the bounce. But when you change it's not the changing a manager, it's the process of what teams do. So when there's a team that has a manager and they sack the manager, they always get a manager that fits the profile at the club. But what we did was we sacked the manager and changed the profile of football. This system and this formation and the requirements to play this football are totally different to what Erik ten Hag was playing and setting up for the past 2.5 years. So when you do that, you're not going to get a bounce. It's pretty much impossible. If you get a bounce, then you might be one of the luckiest people, or you're some type of miracle worker, because it just doesn't work like that. we were a struggling team that had a manager take over in November, and he came in and he changed the entire play style and philosophy and identity in the middle of the season, and this team isn't really compatible with that either. So you're not going to get a bounce. There's no bounce. When you think about it that way, it's not a normal situation. We didn't sack a manager that plays, a 4-2-3-1 possession based. I mean, we didn't hire a manager to take over from Ten Hag after we sacked that. So you're not going to get a bounce. There's no bounce. I think many people felt like sack Ten Hag will get a bounce. But because we sacked Ten Hag and we got this manager, who is completely different to whatever we were doing, you pretty much erase the bounce. The bounce isn't going to happen because essentially you're almost doing a preseason in the middle of the season. So right or wrong, you can, disagree with that aspect. You can blame the manager for that. He stuck to his guns. I'll respect him on that. If he wants to die on that hill, he can die on that hill. It's his way, and it's his choices. He's got to live and die by them. So if they fail, they fail. If they succeed, they succeed. But that was his decision, and that's where we are now. So Lion says, I loved hearing the United fans 4-1 down on the 81st minute, singing their hearts out and supporting our manager. I'm sure they were just as disappointed, but still standing behind the man. Yeah, I mean, the away fans are always fantastic. They always do that sort of stuff, and they never stop. Even when a lot of people would argue maybe they should stop, solely for the fact of that, they feel like the players don't deserve that sort of support when they put in this sort of performance. But they've done that time and time again, and they're fantastic, and they just it takes a lot to be able to do that when you watch the type of performance, especially when you pay for it. And you're there, and it takes a lot. So again, shout out to the away support. They are the life and blood of the club. They travel everywhere and they support the team no matter what, even in the most difficult times. So yeah, I mean, Ray says at the club, we don't know what we're doing. Everyone at the club operates from a fear position. I don't think anybody's operating from I mean, I would love for you to explain what you mean by they operate from a fair position. I don't think. I mean, I don't know who's operating from a fair position. Ruben Amorim is not operating from a fair position. If Ruben Amorim was operating from a fair position, he'd be playing a 4-2-3-1, and would not be playing the system, because obviously we're struggling in the system. The team is struggling in the system. The team cannot fully play the system. There's a few players that can play this, and the rest really can't, or they're just not good enough. And he hasn't changed it. He's not changing it. So for me, in that aspect, I mean, he's not operating from a place of fear. I think Ten Hag was operating from a place from fear, continuing to constantly pick Rashford, and constantly pick the same players, and freezing out Ahmad when Ahmad was playing good, and doing weird things like that. I don't think Amorim is operating from an aspect of fear, and I don't think the people above him are operating from an aspect of fear, because there's nothing for them to really do at this moment in time. So Lion says that he strongly disagrees to Ray's comment. He says, I think Ineos and the new regime has, in my opinion, showed that they have a plan and are working towards it. Well, I think they definitely have a plan set out. We said this last time. We don't know if the plan is going to be successful. There's no guarantees. It doesn't matter. We've certainly made changes. We're definitely going down a different route, and we're definitely operating differently. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be successful. It could also be failure, but it's definitely it's definitely different from what we were doing in the past. But again, you make these changes, it's not going to go well. It's not going to go smooth. We're in one season in, or 1 year into the changes. Again, I mean, maybe we're in different circumstances, and maybe we're further off than these teams. But when Pep came to City, the first season was shit. Klopp's first season was shit. with Liverpool. It was a mess. It was disaster. It was highly inconsistent. It was all over the place. There was some decent results. They had some horrible performances, some horrible results where you watched them and you said they were shit. Now, it wasn't as bad as us because they didn't finish in 13th in the Premier League. But we had other. The problem is we had other problems compounded on top of this. So, we just added on top of it, which makes it harder and makes it worse for the manager, which is they have a tough job on their hand. They have to sort these things out and they got to get them under control. And some of it just is going to come with time. There's certain aspects that can only happen with time. There's other aspects that have a little bit of time, but then also things that you got to get done. I mean, the transfer window is one. It's going to take a little bit of time. We got to get we got to get to the window. We can't do anything now. There's nothing we can do. We got to wait. When we get to the window, then there's the time. Then there's the action. Then you have to make sure that you make the actions. Then when we get to July, and we get the players in and we start doing preseason, there's the action from the manager. You got to get this team and you got to whip them in to a team that's ready to go for the start of the season. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of people brush off preseason, but I've always kind of held it as an indicator, a strong indicator, because for where the team is. And every time we've looked very, very bad in preseason, the season has not gone well because we're just very. You have to be ahead. You have to look sharp in preseason. I understand it's preseason. I understand everybody doesn't play their strongest teams and it's a lot of rotation, but it's an indication of where the team is as a whole. And obviously, this past preseason, we were horrible. And when we started the season, we looked very far off from every other team. Like, we looked like we just started preseason when the season started. So I'm going to be looking to preseason because I think it's going to be a big indicator of how ready we're actually going to be for next season. Because I want the team needs to be looking sharp in the preseason matches. By the last preseason match, whatever it is, we better be looking real sharp. And I think that's a job that Ruben Amorim has to get done. He cannot. One of his tasks is this team better be sharp by the last game of the preseason, because I think it's of utmost importance. I think the past couple of seasons we've been not very good in preseason, and when we start the season, we're totally behind other teams already, and the season just started. So, Ray says, all right, we get rid of Rashford to play Bruno on the right. But it's not really the right. It's a 10 that you can go in and out of wide. It's not a wide position necessarily. It's not a winger. It's a central position that sometimes you go out there, but more so than times you're centrally. So it's not a winger position. We got rid of Rashford because Rashford doesn't want to play. So, and Bruno going out there again, I will say this. We don't have the players in the squad. There's no players in there. Like, I know, Ray, Bruno's not your favorite, but regardless of Bruno, there's no players to put there. We don't have players to put in the positions. We don't have them. Now there's a couple players coming back. Like, I mean, if Mount stays fit and Kobe should be all right going forward, we'll have a little bit more, options to change things around and put players in different positions. But the team we went down to, I mean, there's nobody there's nobody. We don't have anybody. There's, on the bench, there's Mount and Kobe. Those are the only two players that you can argue to put in that position where you put Bruno there. Other than that, you don't have anybody. But see, you say keep accommodating Bruno to play forward position. We're playing Bruno forward position because there's nobody that can create besides Bruno Fernandes, because we don't have players in the team. Now, if Mason Mount is fit and can play 90 minutes, you can make an argument to put Mason Mount forward and put Bruno deeper. But if there's no Mason Mount, or Mason Mount can't play you know, if Mason Mount can't even give you 65 minutes, then you can't start Mason Mount, so you can't put Mount there. And if Kobe isn't fully fit, which clearly he's not, because he's only been able to manage 15, 20 minutes the last two matches, and they're obviously managing his minutes, Kobe's not an option either. So when you play the match and you start the match, you only have the only options you have is Bruno, Garnacho, and Xerxes. And Xerxes not even an option anymore. One, for the fact that Rasmus isn't playing good, so now you got to put Xerxes forward, so you lose another option there. And now all you have in the 210s is Garnacho and Bruno. There's literally no other players that you can put in that position. There's nobody. Now we lose Xerxes, so we lose that option completely. So Rasmus is starting striker, and there's Bruno and Garnacho. And until Mount and Manu are fit enough to be able to play majority of the match, there's literally nothing you can do. There's no options that you can put in that. We don't have the depth for the position. It doesn't make there's nothing there. It's not an accommodation of Bruno. Bruno is the accommodation for the team, because if Bruno isn't there, there's no creator of plays. There's nobody that can play that position that's going to create. We actually don't even have a substitute on the bench for that position besides Manu and Mount, but they're not fit. So, you say drop Bruno deeper. Well, all right, we'll put on Kobe Manu and we'll sub him off in the 20th minute of the first half, because that's all he can play. And we'll put on Mount and we'll sub Manu we'll sub Mount off at halftime because he can only play 45 minutes. I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Bruno is fit. Bruno can play 90 minutes. So you have to go with Bruno. Whether you like it or not, there's no other options. There's nothing else you can do. And this is what I'm trying to say. We don't have the depth in positions, and we don't have the ability in positions. And therefore, there's nothing you can do. We just need to strengthen the team. I mean, nobody is a miracle worker. Nobody's going to come in and make this situation better. When you're looking at the bench and you have Dorgu, Mount, Rasmus, Luke Shaw, Kobe Manu, Heaton, Maguire, Heaven, and Casemiro, and Dorgu's been playing every match. So, he gave almost 55 minutes, which is a good run out for a kid that hasn't played a Premier League match. Mount coming back from injury, and he's injury prone, so you have to manage his minutes. He came on in the 55th minute, which is probably earlier than, some, because usually you'd make maybe 65th minute changes. Rasmus came on for Xerxes because he was injured. Kobe came on very late. I thought maybe he should have came on earlier. That's the only one that I'll really question as to why is Kobe Manu came on in the 82nd minute, and he should have probably came on earlier and to get more minutes. So and Luke Shaw came on in the 78th minute. But I look at the bench and I don't know what else to say. I mean, there's only Manu and there's only Mount, and they're both not fit enough to give you more than 40. They can't give you 45 minutes and a half. So I don't understand what else Ruben Amorim is supposed to do. There's nobody that plays in that position that you could do that. Lion says, I get you're hurting and you're disappointed, but you have to be pragmatic with your options. Bruno is the only one, and up to till today, he's been standout. Almost as both these goalkeepers are her, and there's no difference. Well, yeah, that's why we got the picture of Heaton. Maybe it's audition, I guess, over for Brienda today. I guess maybe we try Heaton out at this point, Almo. What do you say? Should we go for Heaton in the match versus Lyon? Yeah, I guess it can't get any worse. It can't get much worse, experienced guy. Maybe he'll be all right. I mean, we're down to a third goalkeeper, but I mean, fair enough, Almo. I guess at this point now, I guess we really do need a goalkeeper, because I mean, listen, I said last time, I know that they're both not good, but yeah, I mean, maybe we really do got to go for a goalkeeper now. You know what I mean? In the summer, I feel like it's probably bumped itself up a couple positions for sure. I'm not going to say it's number one still, because I still believe that the striker is number one, but I think goalkeeper, where maybe I held it in like 5th place, I'd bump it up to 3. I'd bump it up to 3 because I'd say for sure we need the striker and we need the 10. We need a 10 because we don't have like I've just been pointing out, we don't have options there. There's Bruno and Garnacho. Garnacho doesn't even, it's not even a position that he necessarily fits. Although he did play good, he played much better today. And he did score the only goal. And it was a good goal. And I'm happy that he scored because it's good to see him scoring. But you know, we just don't have we don't have depth in those areas, and we don't have quality in those areas. So yeah. Lindelof is dreadful. I mean, yeah, listen, Lindelof is kind of past it. I don't really rate him either. You know, if anything for me, he's a guy at this point, he'd be a bench player, and he wouldn't even be my first sub. You know, obviously we would like to have DeLit in there. He's obviously dealing with a little bit of an injury, and I don't know how long he's going to be out for. It would be good to have him back for Thursday against Leon, but I don't even know the update. I haven't heard anything about DeLit. So if somebody knows and wants to tell me in the chat, because I didn't see any update. I didn't hear anything about DeLit, you know, for if he's going to be out for a few weeks or whatever it is. I thought he was only going to miss maybe like a match or two, but he hasn't played, and he hasn't been on the bench, so I don't know what's going on with him. And then there was Maguire and Heaven, and I would obviously be playing Maguire and Heaven over Lindelof. And I would bring Heaven on before Lindelof if they're both on the bench. So I mean, Lindelof is obviously going to be out. Eriksson is another one. Listen, I like Christian Eriksson as a footballer. As a person, he seems decent. I mean, I don't know him personally, but you know, from interviews and stuff like that, when he talks, he seems all right. But he's another one. You know, he's got to go as well. And you know, I mean, he's gonna go. So, and then you know, the other one is probably Casemiro. So, Bach says give Heaton a start. I mean, we can't go wrong at this point. Really. Almost says I always said Onana is a problem, bro. He's a massive problem. Well, you did. I mean, fair play to you. I mean, I wasn't. You know, I'm not naive. I wasn't like he's not a problem. I wasn't arguing on his behalf. I just didn't rank it that high because I felt like, yeah, okay, he's sort of a mess sometimes. Sometimes he makes some, you know, there's times where he made some very good saves and he seemed really in form and he seemed really strong, but you know, fairly inconsistent. But yeah, I mean, we just can't have a goalkeeper. I mean, I looked up some of the stats. I mean, he has 8 mistakes leading to goals in the Premier League. He has the most mistakes, and that has nothing to do with the defense. It's just straight goalkeeping errors. He has the most in the Premier League. He also has his save rate isn't that good. It's at like a 60. It's probably lower today. Well, he didn't play today. But it's at like a 67% compared to Raya, who's at like 74 or 76%. So yeah, I mean, like, I did take time to look up the statistics where, you know, it's solely based on the goalkeeper. Because I've seen some people trying to blame our defense. Now today, our defense, well, the team was absolutely shambolic. So, we shipped 4 goals, but I think in the previous matches, I don't even think we weren't even that bad defensively. But we were conceding shit goals and losing. So yeah, I did look up those stats, and I got it to separate it from the goalkeeper and the defense, and he is quite low on numerous amounts of statistics. You know, even when you look at the season where, you know, we had De Gea, and then we switched to on the next season, playing with literally the same exact defense, just the amount of goals that were let in with the same manager, the same formation, the same play style. You know, he conceded 20 something more goals. So, yeah, he's been an issue. He's been a problem. I was trying to, I guess, trying to hope that we could kind of sneak away with it for another season before making the change, because I feel like we need the striker. We need a 10. I take another midfielder and then some sort of a defender. I probably another center back because we play with three. So I think we're gonna need to add there as well. But I think maybe the goalkeeper has climbed up a few spots and pushed itself to the to the forward to the forefront. Almost as the best player on the pitch for me was Ugarte, if I'm honest, today. I mean, yeah, I guess. I just feel like there maybe was one or two good or all right individual performances, but for a match like for me today, it's always hard for me to kind of pinpoint players that played well. I feel like just all over the pitch, we were fairly poor. Everybody was fairly poor. Even if they had some good actions at some moments, then there was always other moments that were just bad and unacceptable. So, Box's Maz was poor today. He was, and I think everybody was pretty poor. I'm not trying to individualize it today. I think you could say basically everybody on the pitch was poor, one way or another. I think Garnacho was decent, in terms of his individual performance. When you compare himself to himself in the other matches, I think he was better. But I just don't think anybody on the team was good today. Because we lost 4-1, but we were completely dominated and outclassed. So, almost says, I got a bad feeling about the on game. I actually don't think we're going to win. This team's confidence is in the bin. Well, I hope you're wrong about that. I mean, could very well be. I mean, it is the season. Listen, if it happens, I'll be furious. Because it's kind of the one competition that Amarim has done good in. I mean, we still haven't lost. We're still undefeated in that. And it's the one competition where he took over where we actually we improved. I mean, we were like 10th in the table when he took over in the Europa League or something like that. We ended up finishing pretty high, and we didn't lose a match in that competition. So it's the one competition that's kind of been like a silver lining, because we done pretty all right. And I mean, based off of the performance that we had in Lyon, for us to lose at Old Trafford, I just don't see how, because I think we're the better team. But this is the season that some shit like that would happen. So I wouldn't necessarily be surprised at this point, because there's nothing left to be surprised about. I think we've seen it all this season. But yeah, I hope not. Almo. I hope they sort their heads out and they get this shit together for Thursday, because that's the one that really matters. Again, I want them to win every match and do well every match, but they gotta, the Europa League one is the one that matters the most at this point in the season. So Ray says, yeah, Maz should be rested today. The guy putting a lot of work. Yeah, I mean, again, this is sort of a thing. I mean, Heaven just coming back from injury, so I don't know if you could really use him. I mean, maybe he was fit to play 10 minutes, but I don't know. And then there was Maguire, and Maguire is one also that has been sort of struggling with little minor injuries here and there, missing a couple weeks or a couple matches here and there. So, and he didn't play today either. So I don't know if that was, they were just there for insurance wise. But I mean, obviously we're going to go back to full strength, but we're going to be without Xerxes now, and we're going to have to go with Rasmus, and it's kind of a bit fucked in that aspect, because Rasmus is just been, I mean, we said we got to take Rasmus out of the firing line, and here we are. Now there's no choice. Rasmus is 100% in the firing line for probably the rest of the season, and there's no other option. I mean, for the Europa League, we can't play Cheeto because he's not registered. So, for Thursday, there's definitely nothing we can do. For the Premier League, I mean, fans can make an argument to put in, Cheeto and start him instead of Rasmus. And I guess. But for the Europa League match, there's literally absolutely nothing we can do. Um, there's, you know, it's Rasmus or nobody. So, um, almost says the thing is, bro, who would buy Onana? I don't think anybody. We are stuck with him. No club is going to look at him. See, when you say things like that, I disagree with you on that. I get why you say that. Many people say and think like that, but if you look at just examples, I think we said who would take Alexis Sanchez. We got rid of him. I think we said who would take Di Maria. I think we said that for numerous amounts of players. We do end up getting rid of them. United took too long to do them because they don't want to do them. But I mean, who would take Onana? I think there are teams out there. Listen to me. I think there are teams that will take almost any player. I think Luke Shaw is a big problem because of his injury. So I think that's the one player that you can really say who would take this guy. I think somebody would take Onana, but it's what price United would be willing to sell him. Because I guarantee you that there is a team out there that would pay 15, 20 million for Onana. But United, are they going to accept that fee? Or are they going to ask for 30? You know, I think there are multiple players that because we view them and we dislike them and we think they are so bad, we say, what team would buy them? Nobody's going to buy them. But in football, these teams do weird things. Like when we say, why would a manager go to that team? They're shit. But yet, they go to a manager goes to that team. Or a player, but like, why would that player go to that team? And that player ends up going to that team, even though we look at the team and we're like, but that team sucks. Why would you go there? They do it. They're weird. It's weird. It's different than us. We're outsiders. They live in a little bubble. They don't view or think the way we do. For as much problems as United have, right? And the disaster that we're in, Cunha is available. Now, if you're not a fan of Manchester United and you're looking at this objectively and you say, well, Cunha can go to United, maybe Arsenal, maybe Newcastle or whatever, you would say, why would Cunha go to United? But Cunha might actually want to go to United. He might actually come to United. And, you would just be like, but it doesn't make sense. But to them, they have a different way of thinking. They have a different way of seeing. So I think Onana, I think we can sell him. I just don't know at what price. Because I don't know what price United would be willing to let this player go. And that's sort of the issue that we've always had. I think there's players there that we look at them, we say they're horrible, and we're like, yeah, we need to sell them. But then we say, yeah, but who would buy them? And I'm like, well, if you transfer list a player and you put them for sale, I'm sure there are teams out there that would be willing to buy the player, but it's not for the price that the club would like. Because the club constantly, if somebody came and I'm sure for a fact there's a team out there that will come and say, I'll give you 15 million for Andre Onana, right? You would take it, Almo. You would sell him for 5 million. You would sell him for free. And that's you. And this is what I'm saying. But the club would be like, we can't accept 15 million. 15 million is too low. We asked for 25. Then the teams don't want to pay 25 and they back out of the deal. They lose interest. Then we get stuck with the player. So that's where it comes into the aspect of, if we're actually serious and we're going to actually move players on and we're going to make decisions, and I know it's difficult because we're struggling financially, but if like they did, and I'm going to use Sir Jim's own thing against him, like Sir Jim did, where he said that they made a mistake with giving Eric Ten Hag the contract extension and keeping him on, and they made the mistake with Dan Ashworth, and he said, instead of keeping those mistakes, because we knew they were mistakes, instead of keeping them and hoping that it works out, or just because we don't want to lose the money in that aspect, we rectified it because we didn't want to live with it because it doesn't make sense. They have to take the same approach to the players. Like, if Onana is deemed not good enough, which we've deemed him already, but I'm saying by the coaching staff and the club, if they say, yeah, we cannot continue with this goalkeeper, and they make this decision, then they must accept that, like, hey, you can't demand 35 million for Onana when there's 3 teams that will buy him for 20. You have to accept the 20. You have to take the lesser money. You have to get him out of the team, and you got to get somebody else in. So they got to do things like that. Lion says, I still believe Onana is a top goalkeeper. He can't just become shit overnight, but for some strange reason, it hasn't worked out for him. I don't... Listen, I'm going to be quite honest. I think for Inter, he was in very, very top fine form. Maybe the style of football they played benefited him more. And in this Serie A, maybe that football helped him out as well over the course of a season. But in the Champions League specifically, I think Inter was a strong team. And I think he was in a very good spot. I think, listen, you can go back and look at the highlights of his career. The mistakes he's making at United, he's made these mistakes. He's made them at Inter, and he's made them at Ajax. He's done it for a lot of his career. These things happen. It's highlighted more because he plays for us. We are a bigger name. We have bigger eyes. We have more haters than everybody in the world. So when you have a goalkeeper here and he does the things that he does and makes the mistakes that he does, the lens, he's going to be scrutinized even more. And I just don't think he can handle the scrutiny. I don't think he can handle the pressure. I think his head is not. It's just not the proper one. To be in this sort of situation at United and handle himself properly. And as a goalkeeper, you can't have you have to have a calm head at all times. You got to be composed, and he doesn't have it. That's why he makes these mistakes, because he's not composed. He lacks composure. He gets crazy at times. He gets erratic. He makes the wrong choices. So I think all it is that he just wasn't the correct goalkeeper. He always had mistakes in him. When we won the Europa League, on our way there, guess who was in goal and guess how we scored? I mean, you could go look at that clip. Onana was there, and it was an error on his part. Was one of our goals. So he's done that his whole career. Now there's times where he was in very good form. He was a very good player. But again, I would say, they say form is temporary. I wouldn't say that he is absolutely class. I think he's just an average goalkeeper. That was in very fine form at one point. But I think he's an average goalkeeper. And at United, average isn't good enough because average gets exposed. And we're not in a good place anyway. So, yeah, almost saying he's not a top goalkeeper. Box says Saudi clubs interested in Onana. They are, and they can offer 20 million. And if we're willing to accept 20 million, then we will sell him. But this is what I'm saying. Then it goes on the club. So the club has to do their thing. Yeah, I try and get 15, 20 million. But they have to be willing to be serious to accept that. You know what I mean? They can't be just sitting there bitching and crying, talking about, well, we want 30. And we're not going to sell him for, try it, but don't blow the deal because of, 10 million. Obviously, try to get the most money. Negotiation tactics, ask for 30. Maybe you get 25. Somehow, maybe you get 22.5. I'm not mad at that, but what I'm saying is when they do it, don't collapse the deal because you're standing firm on 30 and you're just going to reject all offers at 20 and then get stuck with the player. You know what I mean? This is something they can't do. I think there's certain players that you can do that with, maybe like the likes of Garnacho, where you don't necessarily have to sell him. He is young. He's got potential. There's a lot more interest in him. And you know, his ceiling is higher, and he has a different, there's sort of a different outlook on him than there is with Onana. So there's some players I think you can try it with and you can do it with, but there's other players that you just gotta, you know, it's almost like when you know, for the people that play Football Manager or career mode, right? Sometimes when you start it up, you just, you know, you take all the players you're gonna list. Like for example, like you'll just list Onana for sale, and most of the times you'll probably struggle all transfer window to get an offer, and then you get one offer, and it's like, you know, half his what his current value is in game. But what do? You just sell him. You take the money because you're like, yeah, I don't even care. Just like get him out, take the money, and we'll rearrange it one way or another. So, no chance after a season like the one he's having. I don't even think Saudi. No, Saudi definitely would, Almo. Saudi definitely would. Somebody there would definitely take him for sure. Probably 50 million. No, known these clowns we got. I'd sell them for a can of Coke. And Matic was right. These players are just not good enough. They've got no backbone. Look at the situation with Harry Amos. I mean, yeah. I mean, some of them I think certainly aren't good enough. But again, I link it in more to just the team dynamic. We just don't have the team. We don't have a well put together team. There's too many holes in the team, and yet some of them, you know, just aren't good enough. And some of them don't have a backbone, and some of them, you know, some of them are both. To be quite honest, so you know, it's just again, we gotta sort out the team. We don't have an actual good team. Um, let me let me see. Let me see some of the quotes from Ruben Amorim. I want to see what our manager said today. Uh, bu- 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 Bruno's done some talking. Um, Roy Keane had some things to say as well. Ruben Amorim has had a lot to say today. Roy Keane saying a lot of things. I guess we'll go through these real quick. Um, Roy Keane saying Manchester United are physically and mentally a weak team. I would agree. I think Roy is spot on there. I mean, we talked about the physicality early on in the show, and it was on the full display today. To see that we're 100% incapable of being physically competitive with Newcastle, and that was one of the reasons why we got battered today. Roy said it wasn't good enough in the second half from United. That's 14 league defeats now, and we keep making excuses for the team. There aren't enough players that can run in the team and that want to run. They are not enough of a goal threat either. And I agree with that as well. I'm glad Roy is pointing out the team because I don't think he's, you know, again, I don't think it's the time to be talking really too much about the manager. I think the team is the severe issue. And you know, he is right. There aren't enough players that can run in the team and that want to run. And again, we lack depth, we lack quality, we lack ability. We lack all three things combined in multiple positions. So it's never gonna happen. It doesn't matter what manager you have. These things are gonna take time. It's the same thing for me, the way I look at it, it's the same thing as Arteta when he got to Arsenal in the first place. Arteta played his football. There was many players in that team that couldn't do it for one reason or another, or multiple reasons at the same time. And you know, it took at least 3 seasons to filter those players out. It took three summer windows and 3 January transfer windows to filter out those players and make the changes that was necessary and build the team that actually works for the style of playing, the system you play. So again, we're here, we're, you know, half a season in with this manager. He's gonna get his first summer transfer window coming up, and let's see how it goes from there, because I think if next season is an improvement, we got to do it again. Next season's not going to be perfect. It's going to be ones that's going to be ups and downs as well, but we got to do much better. And we got to be a much stronger team, and we got to be closer or in and around the top 6 for sure. Roy said there was talk before the game um, on there being good signs for United and that they are getting better. But he said, I can't see it. I just saw another poor performance, especially in the second half. It's not good enough, and I worry for this group of players. They don't look like a strong group mentally. Well, that's where I disagree a little bit with Keane. I mean, before that, I think some of the matches that we played, we actually played pretty decently well, but we couldn't score goals, or we couldn't get over the line. But today, I mean, I do agree with him for that fact. I mean, today was a day that we didn't look. It was a horrible performance, a poor performance, especially the second half. It wasn't good enough. And the players just looked weak, mentally and physically. But I don't think it's fair to say that this performance is the same performance that we had in the last 3 matches, regardless of the results. So, yeah, I think there are areas that we've improved in, when it comes to playing the system, since Ruben Amorim has taken over. But again, even when I said that, I said we're far from it. We're not, we're not close. We're not close to being what Amorim wants, or we're not close to what we need to be. We're still far from it. There's improvements are being made, but we're far from it. We're not there yet. We're not going to get there. It's it's going to have to go into next season, and next season is going to be one of a battle where we're going to have to prove that we are really have made some strides and improvement, and we're actually are going somewhere. So Ruben Amorim said it's really hard to win against these top teams, and when we make mistakes which help the opponent to score, it's harder for us. Well, obvious statement there, but yeah, I said the same thing. Ruben said all of the mistakes we did today we cannot do on Thursday. I mean, we can't do them in any match, but yeah, I mean, rightfully so. Definitely can't do that in the match versus Lyon, because we'll lose. You can't do those mistakes in any matches, because you literally will lose. Those are mistakes that are literally unacceptable by professional players. You wouldn't even accept them in a U14 match. So Ruben says people can say whatever they want. If you look at our position in the table, it says it all. Losing games is the hardest part in this job. Let's focus on Thursday. Bruno said almost every goal today came from a mistake. I mean, yes. But that's literally what's been happening. I mean, I would argue, again, except for the first goal. The first goal that they scored was brilliant. But other than that, every goal, or most of the matches that we play, every goal that we're conceding has come from some sort of a mistake that just shouldn't be happening, and it's like individual errors, and it's always switching from player to player who's making the individual errors. But yeah, I mean, it can't be happening. I mean, the goal we suffered against Forest, I don't know how many players, but you can't let a player run 85 yards without being untouched. You just bring him down. We didn't even do that much. There's always these goals that it's just some type of mistake. So Roy Keane said, I bet you Amorim can't believe how bad the Manchester United team is. Obvious he can't say that. I think he's gone in there and been shocked. I mean, but you see it on his face and you hear it from him. And I think Roy Keane is right. And I said the same thing earlier as well. I think he actually very much dislikes this team. I don't think there's more than maybe like 5 or 6 players that he actually likes, that he actually wants to use in this team. But he can't go out there and actually say this. But he does say things, and he does give hints that does imply that. I mean, you see his reactions on the sideline. You see his face. You see what he says in the press conferences and stuff like that. He does drop little hints here and there without being too thrash about it. And basically just going up to the microphone and saying my team is shit, and we suck. But he does drop little hints in there. Ruben says we have a chance to get Champions League, but it's going to be really hard. We need to focus on that. He said, we have had a season of difficult losses, so it's usual for us to get up. We can do that on Thursday. It's a different game in front of us, in front of our fans. Ruben Amorim was asked on recalling Andre Onana for the second leg versus Leon. He said, you guys have to wait. We are going to start the next week tomorrow. I am going to choose the best starting XI for the next one. So that's interesting again, because I don't know, you know, when you hear that statement, do you guys, does that make you feel like that Onana is going to come back into the team? Because again, I think that's one that leaves it fairly open. I don't think that's like a vote of confidence for Onana. I don't think it's necessarily a nail in the coffin for Onana in terms of not starting for the match against Leon, but I don't think it's one. I mean, when you're asked that, you always have the choice, if it's in your head, by saying, yes, he will start. And then you end it there. But that's, you know, not the statement he made. He said, we're going to start tomorrow. And he said, I will choose the best starting XI. So, you know, maybe Biende goes back in goal again. Maybe Heaton starts. Maybe Heaton actually starts. Maybe Ruben Amorim has reached the conclusion as we've reached, and he's just said fuck it. It's Heaton's turn now. Let's see. Anything else from the Roy Keane talking about Bruno? Let's see. Probably going to be some harsh criticism. Says he's talking about his teammates there and belief, but what about his right back who didn't put a leg up or try to tackle for the goal from the low? I hope he's pulling him into the dressing room, because he keeps talking about belief in the players and my teammates. A really good teammate puts their hands on each other, whether that's on the pitch or in the dressing room or in the training ground during the week. Well, I'm sure he does that. I mean, from his attitude, I don't think he'll do it on the pitch, but I think inside of the dressing room, I think it gets pretty heated. Roy Keane had more to say about Bruno, saying he's doing the chats about the supporters and all this. Again, to me, it's just sound bites. That's not even there's not even meaning to it, because I don't know how we can listen to the Manchester United players doing interviews anymore, because I'm not sure they're an honest group. So why should we listen to them? I don't think they're going to get real honesty from this group of players when we're not seeing it week in, week out. Well, I just, I mean, I get what he's saying there, but I just think that, I mean, what do you want Bruno Fernandes to really say? I mean, he can do what you did, Roy, but I'm sure the club is not going to be happy about it, and it's probably not going to go well. Maybe the fans will respect it more, and maybe you'll respect it more, but I think he keeps it fairly PR-ish on purpose, because, yeah, I mean, the club would probably lose their shit. I don't think he's gonna do an interview like you did, where they didn't even air it, when you said those things about Ferguson. So, Ruben Amorim, on whether he regrets his choices, he said no, nothing, because we made mistakes and they were better. We had to make choices. You can see Josh, he was fresh, but he had a problem. I was waiting for more or less until the 60th minute to make changes, but with what happened, I tried to avoid further problems. Ruben Amorim also talked about Harry Amos, saying he started in one of the toughest stadiums against a team that is in a good period, and I think he did very well. He must continue, and we must help all these young people to reach a higher level of performance. Well, I do agree with that. It was good to see my son out there getting some minutes. I was happy for that. I was a bit surprised because I wasn't actually expecting him to get the start today. I thought maybe, you know, he would maybe get some minutes as a sub, but yeah, I mean, it was good to see him out there. And again, I do think that Ruben Amorim is of one that wants to give these younger players some more chances, and kind of bring him into the team. and get them into the team. And I think he wants to use them. I think he wants to use them because I think, again, I think he doesn't like the group of players he has. But I think whether you agree with it or not, I think it's a systematic thing. I think he is really trying to get a grip on the more senior players and the more senior first team players, and try and get that sorted out, because there's a lot of room that they need to improve. There's a lot of inconsistencies. It's very unstable. And I think maybe for next season, maybe he just goes with the youth and starts with them from the season, from preseason forward. So I know he is a manager that does that, and he uses them, and he's not afraid to do that. So he will. I am fully sure he will do it at some point. At some point he will start using more of them. So Ruben Amorim was asked on Joshua Xerxes' availability for Lyon next Thursday, and he said he believes it's over. So yeah, I think it's over too. I think that was fairly obvious with him coming off doing the hamstring. There's no chance. I don't even think there's a chance for him for the rest of the season. I think he'll be out 4 to 5 weeks, and that's pretty much season over. So maybe if we get into the Europa League final, maybe he could be back for that. But nothing really everything was really bad today. Really, really bad. I mean, we could do quick live player ratings and I'll shut it down. Let me just pull them up so we could do them, or I'll do them. Player ratings. Being there, I mean, I guess I give him a 5, maybe a 4. I mean, the mistake to the goal, obviously bad. We conceded 4, but I don't, the one goal, the first goal, nothing you're going to be able to do about it in any sort of way. And the rest of them, I mean, one was his fault. The other two, what are you going to do about them? Although that one goal, he was part of the mess as well. It started with mistake from Delo, mistakes with the center back. I think Amos made a mistake on that play as well. He shouldn't have. He was late on the slide, slid in the wrong direction. If he stayed on his feet, he could have maybe blocked the redirect back in. And Binder was all over the place. So, maybe a 4.5 wasn't great for him today. Mazawari, I give him a 5. He wasn't good today either. Lindelof, I give him a 4. He was probably the worst out of all of them. Lenny, I give him a 5 as well. Delo, I give Delo 4.5 today. He wasn't good either. Everybody was pretty shit. I think Ugarte, I'd probably give him a 5.5. It's just probably one of the highest ratings the team is gonna get. He was average, but wasn't great. Bruno, I give him a 5. Harry, Amos, young kid, so I'm gonna be biased. I'll give him a 6. Debut, I think he did pretty good for his debut. I like what I saw from him in terms of potential. It looks like one that can feature a more prominent role, with obviously some more game time, more experience, and a little bit more development. His game wasn't perfect today, but I think for a kid with his Premier League debut away from home against a team that's clearly much better than us, I actually think, considering the circumstances, he did pretty well. Ericsson, 4.5. Him and Ugarte in the midfield was just nothing. Garnacho, I give him a 6. I think Garnacho actually was one of the few that had an average game today, and he scored the goal. and he looked much better in terms of his own self performance. I think he was doing better with the dribbling. He was doing better driving at the opponent, and he had a good shot, and it was a good goal. So hopefully he carries that over to Thursday because we're gonna need it. And for me, Xerxes, I give him a 6-2. Again, we lost him through injury. So unfortunate. I think he was actually playing very well. He had good moments where he was holding up the ball, showing the strength. He was one of the only players that was able to actually compete with the strength of Newcastle and the Newcastle players. And I think he was doing well to hold his own. And then he got injured, and we've probably lost him for the rest of the season. Uh, sure, I'll give him a 6. He's a sub, so they don't really count too much. Kobe gets a 6. Dorgo gets a 6. Mount gets a 6. Rasmus. I mean, well, to be fair, Rasmus came on in the. Okay, so hold on. Yeah. Well, we have to. All right, I gotta change them back because. So Kobe didn't play it much, so he gets a 6. Shaw played like 10, 15 minutes, so he gets a 6 as well. Because I'm not judging players off of 15 minutes, but Mount, Rasmus, and Dorgo, they actually played a good 40 minutes or so. So off of a half, I would say Dorgo 5.5. Mount 5.5, and Rasmus probably a 5. That's the way it went. And Ruben Amorim, he'll get a 5 today as well. And I guess, I mean, I never feel right voting for a man of the match when we lose matches like we do today. But I guess if you're gonna vote for man of the match, I'd probably give it to Garnacho. I mean, he scored and he looked pretty good at it. It's between him or Ugarte. There's really no um there's really nobody else. I mean, so yeah, it is what it is. Um but I think that's pretty much it for today. And let me just see if there's anything else that's come out from the news aspect from United. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're gonna end it here. I don't know if we're gonna stream tomorrow. Um, maybe most likely not. I think we'll take the day off for tomorrow and we'll come back on Tuesday. So, be on the lookout for a stream Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. UK time. We will go live on Tuesday. Tomorrow we're gonna take a day off. And yeah, just shout out to everybody that got involved in the live chat. And shout out to everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. I know these things are tough. It's hard to continue to be interested when the season is just, shit. And so everybody that comes in here gets involved still in the shows and puts in, a little bit of something, whether it's some opinions in the chat or, or you just watch the show in the background. I appreciate it because it is tough. I mean, there's nothing really. You don't even really want to watch the games. You don't even really want to think about it, really. And so to dedicate your time to continue to talk about it, share opinions and stuff like that. I appreciate that very much. So thank you guys. Everybody have a good one. If you want to get in the comments under the show, after I end the show, you can do so. That helps us out as well. I always appreciate them. And they're always actually very good comments as well. So I enjoy reading them. So if you want to do that and help us out, you could do that as well. Other than that, everybody take care. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, I guess, the best you can. I think it's going to be tough to do so after watching that performance and display. But yeah, other than that, take care. We'll see you all on Tuesday. Everybody be good. I guess have a happy Monday and stuff like that. Thank you for the likes. as well. And thank you for the opinions and the chat and stuff like that. We'll talk very soon. Be good, guys. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe. And yeah, we'll see each other on Tuesday.